Good morning, Elmira Baptist Church. I'm glad that you're with me. It's a Thursday. It's February 22nd, 2024, and there is a lot going on here at Elmira Baptist Church. We'll get to that in a moment. Psalm 22, verses 4 and 5. Psalm 22, verses 4 and 5 say, Our fathers trusted in thee. They trusted, and thou didst deliver them. They cried unto thee, and were delivered. They trusted in thee, and were not confounded. Dr. John Vaughn said this, we will not change the minds of the spiritually blind through logic and the majority vote. This problem, the desecration of marriage, is an outcry for revival. We will never end the Holocaust of abortion, the insanity of redefining marriage, or a host of other problems until we have a Congress with character. And we will never have a Congress with character without an electorate with principles. And that will only come through evangelism and the regeneration of individuals. Again, that was a quote by Dr. John Vaughn. I'll say more about that in a minute, but first let's get to what we're doing this weekend. This is our Food and Fellowship weekend. So we're going to meet at 9:45 for Sunday school, 11 o'clock for morning worship, have a time of food and fellowship, and then follow that up with our praise and testimony time. And several of you have already shared with me things that I've asked you to share at that praise and testimony time. Sunday morning, I want to start a new series headed towards Resurrection Sunday. So let me take a little rabbit trail here. I like to call it Resurrection Sunday rather than Easter because, frankly, there are a lot of people who, when they think of Easter, they're not thinking of the resurrection of Jesus Christ at all. They've got other thoughts in their heads. And I want to focus on March 31st, Resurrection Sunday. I want to focus on celebrating the resurrection of our Savior. So Resurrection Sunday, Easter, same day on the calendar, but just two different focuses. So that's why I use that term. And I want to start a series focusing on the lives of two ladies in the New Testament, Martha and her sister Mary. So we're going to start that series this Sunday and conclude it right on or about Resurrection Sunday. This Sunday, I want to talk about to sit or to serve. That's the title, to sit or to serve, and to read Luke chapter 10, verses 38 through 42 to prepare for that message. And then after our morning worship, we'll have that time of food and fellowship. The theme is Fiesta Favorites. You bring a dish, plenty for your family and enough to share with another family as well, and plan to stay with us through the afternoon. About 1:30, 1:45, we'll start our praise and testimony time. In between singing songs, you'll have a chance to tell us how the Lord's blessed you, an answer to prayer. Just focus on the goodness of the Lord. And then I'm going to end that time with another message. That sermon is entitled, What We Can Learn from Ants. What We Can Learn from Ants. And you can read Proverbs chapter 6, verses 6 through 11 to prepare that message. Prepare for that message. So what we can learn from ants, Proverbs 6 through 11. Just a reminder that we have restarted our split sessions on Wednesday night. Children's classes continue as they always have, and I want to thank those teachers for being faithful in teaching those classes. Additionally, we have a ladies group that meets in the ministry room. They have a book they're going through. Men's meets in this room, and we have a book we're going through. And because it is a discussion rather than a lecture or even a teaching class, it really doesn't lend itself to being live streamed. So we won't have a live stream on Wednesday night, nor will we post the men or women's Bible study on Wednesday night. Let me mention, if you are a lady and you can't make it out on Wednesday night, there is also a ladies' Bible study on Friday morning at 10:30 in the ministry room. You're welcome to join that one. Here are some of the upcoming events. Tonight, Thursday, February 22nd, tonight, 7 o'clock, we're going to meet here for a mini small concert and preaching by Ben Everson. I have not met him in person, although I've talked to him on the phone now, and I have heard him sing. I've heard him preach. Virtually, I've heard him preach, and I know that you will benefit from being here tonight at 7 o'clock. We will take a love offering. I ask you to give generously to him. He's coming all the way from the East Coast to be with us. And then this Saturday is our snow day. Some of you will be headed to Nyack Snow Park. A couple of details. Number one, be here at 6:30. We want to get those wheels rolling at 6:45 to head out. Number 2, the cost is $25 per car. So we'll sort of see how things shake out on Saturday morning. Maybe we can pack some other people in other cars and reduce the number of cars we're traveling in, but it's $25 per car. Number 3, we cannot take unattended children. So if you can't take your child and you have a friend who will take your child, fine. But if you show up Saturday morning with a child and say, here, take my son, take my daughter, I'm not going. I can't guarantee that your son or daughter will be able to go. So don't do that to me, please. Call me ahead of time. Number 4, bring something to eat. Now, the church is going to provide hot dogs, hot dog buns, and the condiments. But bring drinks, salads, chips, desserts, etc. And there will be a shared lunch up there at Nyack Snow Park this Saturday. That is in 2 days. Again, this Sunday is our food and fellowship. And then the following Sunday, March 3rd, we have Billy Allardyce, our missionary to France, with us. He'll be with us all day. We've already talked about what he's going to do in Sunday school, what he's going to do Sunday morning, what he's going to do Sunday night. So you don't want to miss any part of that day. And then Tuesday, March 5th, is the senior breakfast. Tuesday, March 5th is a senior breakfast. There's a sign up for that. And Saturday, March 9th, is an all-church work day. And I could use all the help I could get, just trying to tidy things up here in preparation for Resurrection Sunday. Sunday, March 10th, we're going to change our clocks. We're going to spring forward. And yes, I know we voted years ago to quit doing this, but we're still doing it. So that's Sunday, March 10th. You will lose an hour. And then Saturday, March 16th is our next Come Rise With Us in Hope, Gifts and Invitations Distribution, which will begin at 11 o'clock. Sunday, March 17th, in the evening, instead of meeting here, Elmira Baptist Church will meet with First Baptist Church in San Pablo for a Singspiration. That's on Sunday, March 17th. On Saturday, March 23rd, there's a ladies' prayer breakfast. On Saturday, March 30th, we will go blitzing. And on Sunday, March 31st, is Resurrection Sunday. So you can see we have a packed March. We were taking a look earlier, and it looks like just about every weekend has something in it in the month of March. Now I want to go back to Psalm 22, verses 4 to 5, that say, Our fathers trusted in thee. They trusted, and thou didst deliver them. They cried unto thee, and were delivered. They trusted in thee, and were not confounded. When I read those verses from Psalm 22, I'm reminded of our fathers. I think of the Pilgrims. These were separatists. They couldn't be a part of the Church of England. They thought there were some serious doctrinal issues there. They thought there was some hierarchical issues in that church. And so they would meet in people's homes in order to worship and to hear God's word preached. But there were two problems. Number one, it was illegal for them to assemble as a church outside of the Church of England. And number two, the elders of their churches were not legally allowed to preach. You probably remember John Bunyan, who was told he could preach if he would take a license. But he wouldn't take a license from the government. He believed that his right to preach came directly from God, and because of that, he spent over a decade in prison. And here were people, here were Christians who were opposed by their government. Here were Christians who were persecuted for their faith. And yet they found a way to continue to meet and continue to worship according to their conscience and to continue to preach the gospel. I know that there are those who feel that churches are under pressure here in the United States. And I wouldn't dispute that. We still have a lot more freedom than our fathers did. But I do want to caution us not to think that political salvation is going to come from a particular politician. This verse tells us that our fathers trusted in God. They trusted in God, and God delivered them. They cried unto God, and they were delivered. They trusted in God, and they were not embarrassed or confounded or confused. Now, I want to be clear. You should vote. You should register to vote. You ought to research the candidates and the ballot measures, know what we're voting on, and then on the day of voting, go to your local polling place or mail in your ballot. you should vote. But the salvation we're looking for as a nation, the change in America that we're looking for in a nation, is not going to come through Congress or the White House. It's going to come from God. So I encourage you to pray. Every time you read an article that turns your heart upside down, inside out, because it's so wrong. Every time you get angered or upset reading the news. Every time there's some politician who says something, you scratch your head thinking, how can that be? Don't just get angry. Don't just get upset. Get on your knees and pray. And ask God to do the work in your heart and in our hearts as a church and in the hearts of Christians across the United States and in our country in order to change our country for the better. The change we're seeking is going to come from above. It's not going to come from the White House, and it's not going to come from Congress. Let me read that verse one more time. Our fathers trusted in thee, they trusted, and thou didst deliver them. Let's trust the Lord. Don't forget, this weekend we have Sunday school at 9:45, morning worship at 11, food and fellowship immediately following, and then in the afternoon we will have our time of praise and testimony, so we will not meet at 5 o'clock because we'll already have met in the afternoon. I encourage you to join us. Come on out, and don't forget to bring something to share at that food and fellowship time, and I will see you there.